Welcome back to the Spark, live from Cooler Masters booth here at Computex 2024. My name's Trisha, I'm joined by Pedro, and we are so excited to have John and Ellie from Liquidhaus here with us for this next segment to talk PC modding. No better place to talk PC modding than here at Computex, is that right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for being here. Now, for anyone who might not already be familiar with your content, can you give us just a very brief overview as to what you do?
Sure. So we are Liquidhaus, and we specialize in creating functional art with computers. We believe that every computer should be built to express the person that built it as much as possible. You know, every computer can be unique and personalized to the person that owns it, that uses, that plays it, that works on it. You know, it doesn't have to be a traditional box case. You know, it can be an open air build that's colorful and crazy, water cooled. You know, the sky's the limit. You know, and so we try and emulate that as much as possible with our builds. And you know, some of our builds are crazy and wacky and all over the top, but you know, that's the very motif of what we do here at Liquidhaus. So we're very happy to announce a really cool special project here with Cooler Master today, and we're really proud and excited to show it off.
We will definitely show it off because it's gorgeous. But when you mention things like, you know, really having a PC that represents the person who's using it, right?
Right.
Pedro, I feel like we were just talking about, in our last segment, talking about how pre-builds offer a really nice solution for one type of consumer, but now there's another type of consumer that might want something really special and unique just to them, and that's where we get into this greater conversation. How much do you see the idea of customization and unique personalization in the PC building community?
I think it's the basis of it. For me,
Right.
PC means freedom. So freedom can be expressed in multiple ways. I think modding is probably the other extreme of what we were just seeing with the pre-builds. In this case, we're approaching, I think, art, right?
Yes, I agree.
So it's not art with a PC inside. That's something very different. It's a
Yes.
PC that is transformed to be a piece of art. And that's, for me, that's what modding is. And the personalization, the freedom to create something, like John mentioned well, I think is really what makes PC, for me, I know many will disagree, but for me and for many, the best platform there is.
I mean, I think a lot of folks watching Cooler Master stream are going to agree with
In
you.
particular, yes, hopefully.
on
Absolutely.
that. I think that's the case, but it's interesting that you say the PC itself is the art. It's not a PC built within art. So I want to toss this next question to John and Ellie. When people talk about PC modding, is there a kind of specific delineation between, like, I 3D printed this really cool case and then put a PC inside of it, versus I designed the innards of this PC in such a way that it isn't of itself as art? Is there like a difference, would you say, between those things, or are they all encompassed within the term PC modding?
I think it could be all-encompassing, you know, and I think that's part of the fun part of this conversation, you know. There is no real limit in terms of the different approach you can take when building a PC, or then therefore modding a PC, you know. Obviously you can grab a 3D printer, they're so easy to buy nowadays, and find some prints online, and then fill your computer case with a bunch of your favorite, you know, video game characters that you printed yourself, you know.
Sure.
That in and of itself is a PC mod, because you are modifying your PC to make it your own. That being said, you know, we approach it a little bit differently, especially in regards to bringing in water cooling into the factor, because there's so much more that you can do in terms of the water cooling aspects of things that will just take a computer to the next level. And we believe that so wholeheartedly that we have kind of guided our own builds in the way that, like, okay, water cooling is great, it works for performance, you know, you can really push your computer to the next level, but it can also be a complete statement in its own right. That's also completely fully functional in its own right as well. And so that's kind of basically what our main goal with every build is to go crazy, make it a functional art piece that in every aspect, there's a very specific reason for each and every aspect of that build.
Yes. No, I mean, it's right there in the name, Liquidhaus, but you two specialize in water-cooled builds, yes?
Yes. obviously, you know, we love air cooling and air cool AIOs as well, you know, because, you know, not everyone's going to jump into the world of water cooling right away.
I mean, I'm going to point to myself in that. I have never done custom loop cooling. I am an AIO only kind of gal for now. Not to say I won't venture there
And
in the
there's
future.
nothing wrong with that.
But
There's
yeah,
nothing
I
wrong
mean,
with
I'm
that.
scared to death something's going to leak inside my PC.
Yes.
But you know, so we all move in steps, right?
Yes.
But I feel like you two are really like the epitome of the beautiful water-cooled PCs that we see at a show like Computex.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
We try our best. We put our best foot forward, you know, and we just love this so much, you know. And that's one of the best parts about working with Cooler Master is they have the passion that we have to push the limit and make something so much more than what it can be originally. And always pushing the envelope, always kind of demanding more of yourself, saying, you know what, that was really awesome, but how are we going to one-up ourselves the next time around, you know?
Love it.
And that's, you know, that's what we do every single time. You know, Ellie just finished a Pro Art build with Asus, and it's immaculate. You know, people are really loving it, and she did it all on her own, and she emulated the very essence of Liquidhaus, and she absolutely killed it, you know. So like there's so many different ways to tackle aesthetics in a build to match whatever hardware that you may be selecting, or you know, whatever hardware that may be available in your region, things like that. There's so many ways to personalize the build to make it your own and be so much more proud of the hard money and hard work that you use to spend on that money, you know. So yeah, there's just so many ways to go about it that we just love this so much.
Yeah, it really is quite impressive. I have had the opportunity to witness some of your builds in person over the years, and they are gorgeous. So folks, you are in for a treat as we really dive in. But before we do that, I do want to remind everybody watching, this is live, so if you have any questions for John and Ellie, feel free to ask them in chat. Pedro and I have our very fancy chat machines here that we can get your questions from, so feel free to ask those. But I'm going to ask a question of my own. How did you two get started?
Well, I think that's a question that Ellie should answer, honestly. Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
well, I would love to. I mean, we both are PC enthusiasts. We're
Yes.
both gamers, right? I think, well, John and I, when we first met, John was already into the PC modding space.
Okay.
I, at the time, didn't even realize that PCs were even still a thing. I thought we had kind of moved over, I know, to laptops and tablets. I thought we were living in this world of laptops and
You thought
tablets.
desktops were no more.
Were no
yeah.
more. So when I walked in to his office for the first time
Blasphemy.
when we met, seeing this giant box case, there was no front panel on it.
It was a quad Crossfire
Yeah.
AMD 7970.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But
No
it was a
big deal.
box. She calls it a box.
It was a box.
It
It was a giant box. With a lot of components in it and everything. But yeah, we got started just gaming. John, he started tinkering with his dad's PC when he was a kid, and his dad said, no more, don't do that. Grabbed him a PC he found an HP computer out of a dumpster
Yeah.
and gave it to you, and
Had a
was
little
just like,
dumpster.
have at it, do what you want with it, but don't touch my PC anymore. I
Couldn't stand it.
yeah, I couldn't stand it, but I think we all start gaming, right?
Yes.
And then you need to push it a little bit further.
Right.
The games become a little bit more demanding, or we kind of got the bug just to tinker with things, and that's the start. That's the start.
Yeah, I mean that's basically how it was for. The real reason I started PC building was to just push my video games to the maximum performance.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this game
That's a good
runs
reason.
great, but I want to run this game even better. So how do I do that? Oh, okay, I need more RAM. Okay, I guess I need a new video card. Oh crap, that's PCIe and I have AGP. Oh no, what am I going to do? Now my dad's mad at me. What am I going to do now?
Old school
Oh
PCIe.
yeah.
Approximately what age were you at this point?
Oh man, I think I might have been 13 when I started ripping apart my dad's computer.
Your
Last
poor
year.
dad.
That's right.
Yeah, but
20 years ago. 20 years ago.
yeah. But I mean, even before that, I actually started gaming on a Mac. Our first family computer was a Mac. I don't even remember what model it was,
Oh
but
no!
yeah, no, it's kind of funny. It's ironic, right?
It is ironic.
Yeah, but I mean, with the Mac, you couldn't really do much,
No.
right? The game is
Two
what
games?
it was, yeah.
Two games.
And so when we had a family Dell computer, and I really dived into the world of modding GTA Vice City.
Okay.
Actually, modding Vice City was a lot of fun, and I was like, oh my gosh, you can actually modify the models of the cars in the game. Like,
So
this is crazy.
Modding software led you into modding hardware.
Absolutely.
Wonderful way to put it.
Love it.
Just finding out that you can actually change every aspect of your experience, whether that's the software side or the hardware side.
Yeah.
It was like a whole new world for me. It's like, okay, I got to get in on this, and whatever it took, including pissing my dad off, you know, like.
Took you here.
Sorry,
Yes.
Dad.
But it goes
Sorry,
really
Dad.
well with something that you mentioned. Like, you mentioned that modding isn't just like, of course, the beautiful art examples that we have right here that we're going to check in a bit. Modding can be done by anyone, really.
Right.
Any modification to a PC is a mod.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how you started like small beginnings,
Yes.
and now you're here. But like, do you think like the modding community or the modding aspect, when a normal PC enthusiast sees a beautiful mod, do you think they think this is something that is not attainable by someone like me? This is only for people like Liquidhaus who have access to amazing imagination first and foremost, but materials and being able to produce like art in this genre. Do you think it should be brought to the masses more? Should be more like democratized?
I mean, we're actually seeing that a lot this year. We've walked around to a couple water cooling brands, and they're actually putting out these pre-water cooling kits. So coming with like the fittings, the tubing,
Yes.
any accessories that you need to do the bends on the tubes.
Yep.
Just someone to mention is Spantex. They have the fittings are actually really nice, and I feel like as a beginner, these are we're starting to hit that precipice where the water cooling is going to be a lot easier for these beginners, and these brands are starting to see the work that us modders do,
Yeah.
and they can see that the general audience wants to be able to achieve this type of build as well. So maybe 2 years ago it might have been less achievable, but I think that this year we're going to start seeing a lot of more entry-level water cooling.
I love that.
Absolutely, and honestly, you know, I remember way back in the day, there were a few modding websites that I would just gaga over every single day. You know, it was inspiration and also, you know, a little bit nerve-wracking. Like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how they did that. Like, that's crazy, you know. But like, if you're passionate enough and you want to do that, you're gonna find a way.
Right.
You know, and if anything, you're gonna find your own way to do it. And I
Yes.
think that's the best way.
It doesn't have to be super time consuming, right?
Right, no, absolutely. You can find different ways and innovate a process that may be easy for you that someone may not have thought about.
Right.
And, you know, back in the day, you used to have build logs on old school forums and stuff like that. Unfortunately, we don't really do that these days. It's mainly social media, but still, you know, like, you can post really nice photos or really cool
Yes.
videos on YouTube, you know, and people are like, you know what, that's awesome, I want to do that. And, you know, and that's what we try to do, is we just try to inspire as many people as possible, because honestly, creativity is going to take us everywhere, you know, like
Yeah.
we actually did a post recently on our social media about how like AI is kind of, you know, just becoming the norm, right?
Right.
Well, with that will become maybe a lack of creativity and therefore maybe a lack of imagination. We want to celebrate that imagination as much as possible. You know, we want the person themselves who are building their PCs to actually push themselves, like, you know what, I need to come up with something for myself rather than have some computer algorithm maybe come up with the idea for me. You
Tell
know,
me
like,
what I want. I know what I want.
Right, yeah.
Beautiful. Like, the way you put it is like it's philosophy more than anything, right?
It is.
Very
I love how you mentioned the work logs, because it's very old school, like being able to, for a modder, to document their process, sometimes day by day,
Yes.
what they did.
Day
and
by
actually
day.
on the Cooler Master World Series, and the entries end on the 7th this month.
Yes.
If you join to be a modder, or if you could just want to follow the work logs of everyone who enters, that's a really cool part of it. So people, when they're doing their mod for the contest, they document everything they do, and it's really interesting to see what people do. Even their life at home. Sometimes this is my room, this is my
Right.
bedroom, this is where I keep,
Yes.
this is where I keep the
Yeah.
metal that I
Yes.
got that to bend afterwards. So
Yes.
it's really, really cool. So do follow the Cooler Master World Series.
Yeah. This is where
Yeah.
the magic happens,
Yeah,
if you will.
absolutely.
But I
All the
think
details.
very humble beginnings, you know. You see some of the work that some of these modders do from back in the day, and then you see like their garage, and you're like, oh, that my garage looks the same. Like
Yes.
they're pulling off the stuff like that in
Yeah.
the same kind of space. Like that means I
Humanizing
can
it.
do that.
100%. The humanizing part of it is a
Yeah.
huge thing, and that's the thing with water cooling is none of this has to be. You don't have to do it, right? So to have that passion to push it, to do it, it's really cool to see. I don't know. I just love to see what people can come up with.
Yeah, on their own, you know. Like obviously we try and usher in as much of that of that motivation, inspiration.
Yeah.
But it's still on them to say, you know what? Okay, how do I apply that for myself in my home situation and
Sure.
in my life and whatever kind of income or parts that they may have, it's on them to make it work. And then when they do make it work, they're so stoked about it. And, they're happy to say, hey, oh my gosh, Liquidhaus, you inspired us. Thank you so much. I'm like, you know what? It's exactly what we wanted. That's all we wanted.
That's got to feel so good.
Oh, it feels great. It's the best
Right?
feeling ever, honestly. That's
Right?
what keeps us going.
Well, and when there's something you love so much and you're so passionate about, to have other people that are maybe timid to get into that hobby, to be able to welcome them in.
Right.
And, Ellie, like you were saying with the various items you've seen here at Computex that are just making it a little more accessible for
Right.
people, just bringing more people into the fold, which I feel like, Pedro, that's what we've been talking about all day, right?
100%. I want to see everyone being, like I mentioned, you don't have to be at the level of Liquidhaus. That's really hard. But you can just be at home and just simply changing a simple aspect. Even your peripherals, it doesn't have to be case model.
Right, yeah.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
You can find a better way to place your mouse, just paint it, just something everyone can do at home.
Yeah.
And you just need little space, usually little resources to do it. Everything can be a mod. Maybe you love it and you try to improve
Yep.
and get to the level where these guys are. But until then, why not start from just do what you want to do?
Yeah. And I mean,
don't be afraid.
there's been many situations where I've tried to do something and kind of have failed. Like I plasti dipped one of my gaming mice from back in the day. Found out very quickly that was a bad idea.
Oh, no.
But I tried it. I wanted my mouse to be white. I was kind of thinking ahead of the curve because everything's white now. It's either black or white, or maybe sometimes silver with all these new components. But I wanted a white mouse, and they didn't have a white mouse. I was like, okay,
I'm gonna make one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. And God, it was horrible. It looked so bad, and I couldn't ever use it again because I had ruined it with all the paint and plasti dip. But it was worth the shot, and I had learned from that. Okay, so I'm gonna try it a different way next time. And that's kind of how you kind of figure this process out. Yeah.
It's how you learn. I love this kind of story time approach. So I'm going to ask you if you have any other stories like that where you tried something and it didn't necessarily work the first time, but maybe it led to a success
Absolutely.
later on.
Yeah, I mean, like for instance, what we've been doing lately is we've been kind of trying our hand at one-off prototype open-air chassis designs, and we come up with the design ourselves, we get it manufactured, we give it a shot, we throw in the hardware that we've got, and very quickly find out, this initial design does not at all jive with any of the hardware we have. And we spent a lot of time designing it and spent a good amount of money making it,
Right.
and it doesn't work the way we wanted it. And so it's like, okay, man,
Yes.
how are we going to apply that for next time we design something, And so, we still trip up, and
Everybody
it's
does.
it's always a learning process. We honestly, we want to fail. That's the only way we're going to be able to learn stuff.
Yeah.
We can never learn if it's success.
We're winning every
you're
time.
you're never
Right.
going to learn something from that. So if anything, we want to trip ourselves up. We want to fail a little bit.
And push ourselves to make sure that we are, there is a possibility of failing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And taking those risks.
Yeah, always pushing it to the limit. I'm like, well, will this work? Will this might not work?
Right.
I guess we're going to find out.
Yes.
And that's kind of the situation for what we're going to show off pretty soon here. We got very lucky with our design, and we nailed it the
Say
first
that.
shot.
I'm sure it wasn't luck.
It was luck.
It was more like
Okay.
It was luck.
luck
Yeah,
and like
I know.
measuring like 8 times. And
Luck
cutting
that you
once.
got it the first time.
Luck and
Yes.
redundancy,
Yes.
yeah.
That, it's absolutely incredible. But I feel like if you're going to ask someone to do an open air liquid cool design, Liquidhaus is the place to go.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, while we're talking about PC modding in general, and I know you're checking chat questions to see if we have chat questions, but I want to ask you if there's any trends right now within the PC modding community that you've seen that you can kind of shout out to folks.
Well, I think that one of them, what we can mention, is probably the external radiators. We're starting to see a lot of external radiators,
Okay.
Which is also something else that we do is we have our own product. It's a water cooling
Yes.
solution to add additional water cooling to your system. And so you're starting to see more designs of these external stands. You have people doing, there's a beautiful PC Works is another PC modder. He did a build,
It's
a
a
golf build.
Yeah, the golf
Porsche-
blue and orange. A golf,
Yeah.
Porsche
Nice.
golf themed. Yeah,
And
very
he painted the EXT, the Liquidhaus EXT to paint match
Aww.
the whole build. So yeah, you're seeing that's kind of becoming a trend.
Yes.
A lot of the customization, a lot of themes is very trendy. I think one thing that we really want to mention is probably sleeved tubing is a huge trend right now.
Yes.
And you're starting to see brands actually make pre-sleeved, pre-length, cut-length tubing, so basically it's just ready to plug into your system. Rather than assembling it like we do, because we sleeve the actual tubing ourselves.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of trends that are actually starting to be picked up by brands to make it a lot easier to kind of go back to where we were at.
Yes.
Making these things more accessible, easier for, I guess, more like just aesthetics, you know?
Yeah,
just aesthetics.
like with the tube sleeving, you know, we work with a company in Germany, MDPCX, and they make nylon sleeving that has really been kind of the basis for sleeved cabling over the past like decade. He was one of the few way back in the day that kind of pioneered the sleeved cabling, the individual sleeved cabling, like for 24 pins and PCIe cabling.
Yes.
And he just kind of expanded on the diameter of the sleeve itself. And it's like, well, you know what? Let's apply that to the tubing itself. We figured out a way to do it. And now we've got these bright, wonderful colors that we could introduce into a build that match the aesthetics of, you know, a motherboard or a graphics card, something like that, that just really takes the build to the next level that you haven't really seen before. You know, I mean, obviously the idea of sleeving tubing is not anything really new.
Right.
You see it in a bunch of different industries.
Yes.
You know, you see it in the automotive industry when you got steel braided brake lines. You know, like it's not a new idea in any sort of the way. It's not groundbreaking in that, but it is kind of new in the sense that you can apply it to this industry as well in a fun and creative way.
Yes.
It's a great way of adding customization to your mod, your computer, your mod, whatever it is.
An easy way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a really easy way to do that with great colors.
And like Ellie was saying, you know, like we do have an online website where we have designed and we sell DIY products that are really the only real basis for the product is to create more depth for your build. There's no real purpose other than that. It's a very DIY driven product line that we've created over the years. And the only real purpose of it is to say, hey, this is an option for you guys if you want to have it. Like run with it, have fun with it. Yeah.
Here's that solution.
Yeah, and there's a few water cooling companies out there that have done external radiators and stuff like that, but they're kind of proprietary in that regard. And
Sure.
and we wanted something a little bit more universal, a little bit more accessible to anyone that just may have an extra radiator lying around in their closet or something from an old past water cooling build. And so, you know, maybe they wanted to change it up. And it's like, you know what? I got these new components, but they're running really hot. Like, how do I do this? My case is only so big. You know, how do I make my temps better? How do I get better performance? Well, I mean, you can throw a radiator on the outside of the case and kind of have it stand there, and then maybe have some more fun with that and make the radiator stand look really cool and flashy and have it match. And you know, that's what Ellie was saying with our friend Tim at PC Works. He's got a wonderful build at the Thermaltake booth. He did just that. He took the radiator and matched the entire theme to the build. So you've got a very cohesive design with something that kind of wasn't really an accessible thing in a few years ago. And we really kind of pushed that, and it's taken off, and it's wonderful to see.
It's really cool to see.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you guys had mentioned that your website's a great resource for that. What is that website for everybody at home?
Oh, it's just www.liquidhaus.com. Very simple.
Perfect. So
We're
you can
Liquidhaus
use
across
that as a
everything.
resource
Yes.
if you want to check out some of these trends that John and Ellie are talking
Absolutely.
about.
There's actually, we also have, I mean, because we are always trying to inspire people, we were talking about the sleeve tubing. We have a 45-minute long tutorial, just like a super raw tutorial. If you want to figure out how to do it yourself, you can do it. It looks better than these pre-made sleeves, I'm sorry to say, but
whenever you do it yourself, there's a personal touch to it that's hard to
absolutely.
replicate.
That little more effort goes a really long
A lot more
way.
gratifying, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so there's a lot of resources on our website and our YouTube that can show you how we do what we do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, they do say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and I feel like some of these modding what's the word I want to use? I was going to say modding trends, but really some of these like modding innovations, I guess is really the word I'm looking for,
Yes.
have now been adopted by some of the major brands. I think a great example of that is the back connector motherboards.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
started out from a modding collaboration and everyone went,
Yeah, but how do we
That-
apply to
that's
ourselves?
interesting.
cool,
People
yeah.
might be into that. Maybe we should move in that
And
direction.
now it's blowing up.
And
you
now
know?
it's blowing up.
And that's kind of why it should be celebrated in that regard. It's like, hey, this has been kind of the status quo for the past 15, 20 years.
Yes.
Why not change it up? Like,
Right.
why not?
Yes.
It's been the same forever. There's no reason why not to just mix it up for the
Yes.
sake of mixing it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Make it fun, make it new. Pedro, in your communities, are you seeing anyone kind of talk about some of these more unique mod-started trends within PC building, like external radiators?
I think
etc.?
people in general just want to see something beautiful. I mean, in
I agree.
all industries and of course in ours as well. But like, when people see something different, they usually have a very strong opinion about it.
Yeah.
Most people either like it very much or don't like it at all. There's no
That
one
makes
really.
good art, though. Isn't that what they
Right.
say about art? It
Yes.
elicits a
Yeah.
strong reaction.
It's something. No one is really indifferent to something that
Yes.
is very spectacular. But like, I think like what John said, being a think tank for the industry
Yes.
is probably one of the biggest facets of modding.
Yes.
Because you have the total freedom to do and the means to do whatever you want.
Yes.
And I guess it's kind of interesting how that is picked up by the general industry in general to create something like that. Is there something right now that you guys think that should be adopted, just like BTF or back connect motherboards were? Do you think what's the next thing that could really change the way how we build mainstream PCs?
Mainstream PCs.
Something that is used right now in the modding community.
Well, I mean, I would love to shout out a fellow modder. His name's Ben. He's out in Vietnam, and he created
Oh, yes,
what's
this
called
is
the
really
Stealth
cool.
CPU water cooling block. He was actually able to figure out and innovate a way to run. You know, obviously with every CPU that you mount, you got a hole in every corner, right?
Yeah.
You mount the cooler down. He was actually able to find a way to run the fluid through those little tiny
Really?
holes. So you've got the tubing
Ooh.
coming from the back as well.
That's cool.
So it's
Yeah.
really stealth from the front as well. So to match these really BTF
Yes,
style.
and
yeah.
you know, like honestly, off the top of my head, that is such a wonderful innovation that he has created himself. That you know, and he's worked with the company, water cooling company Bits Power,
Okay.
and they've created a product that now you can just kind of slap on your CPU, and you would run the tubing as you would normally with the CPU block, but you're running on the back of the motherboard. And so if you
That's
had,
cool.
if you had like the reverse connector, like the Stealth motherboards, you know, the BTF from Asus, you could also run the tubing from the back as well.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool way to like completely transform a build, and that idea stemmed from another modder, you know. So it's wonderful to see that kind of stuff. Yeah, and honestly, you know, like we have seen, we've got the Cam.2 new memory modules on some of these new motherboards where you don't have the removable DDR5s, you got these like new memory modules. And there's so many different ways to do that. You could slap a massive water block right there and have like a crazy monoblock design. You know, like if you wanted to have thick enough material on the block itself, you could have ports on the side and you wouldn't even have tubing coming from the front. There's so many different ways to take some of these new aspects of what the industry is kind of offering and just
Yeah.
run wild with it, you know? So honestly, that's one of the most exciting things about seeing all the cool stuff here at Computex. It's like, okay, how am I going to apply this
Yes.
for our next builds in the next few months? You know, like,
Yeah.
okay, this is really cool, and it always keeps us thinking, always keeps us on the edge, you know.
Since the current trend is hiding cables,
Yes.
Yes.
don't you feel kind of sad? I was talking to Trisha yesterday about this because Trisha loves cable management and cable routing.
My girl.
Like a big part of modding for a long time was making those cables look good.
Yeah.
Because they usually did not look good at
No.
all. Don't you feel kind of sad that the current trend is hiding those cables, so taking away the opportunity to making them pretty because
Yeah.
it's mostly meaningless because you can't see them sometimes?
Well, it's another customizable thing, right? So you're taking that personal touch away from it, whether it's like their pink sleeved cables, that because you like the color pink. That's no longer. That's yeah. It is. It's kind of taking away
It's bittersweet
It
for
is
sure.
bittersweet.
It's bittersweet.
But they're not all going away.
No.
It's just
All
giving
going
us
away.
options now.
Right.
So you
Yes.
can cable or not to cable.
Right.
The choice is yours.
But I
Absolutely.
also love the option because a lot of people really like that clean aesthetic too.
Mm-hmm.
So it is cool to see that like Apple-esque type of like very clean and simple. Sorry.
Very simplistic.
Very IKEA.
Very
Yeah, there you
Like
go.
the doctor's office. Ooh,
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah, very
you kind
cold.
of just like put it up, yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
killing me over here.
I would agree with you. When that trend started to come out,
It's like a
oh,
canvas, right? The elements of a build are your canvas to create
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
If you take them away, you're stuck with something that is what the company made in
Yeah.
a huge HQ with thousands of people.
Well, then
you're like,
the Apple thing. It's
exactly.
exactly that.
That's. I'm guessing you want to stay away from the Apple look. Your builds are much better looking than that.
I would agree.
Thank
I
you.
would agree. Where would you like to see PC modding trending next? I know this is asking like a little bit of you to predict the future, but if there was a way that you could like make a wish on a star and have
It
PC
is
modding
that
move in.
accessibility, having
Okay.
more people just being able to feel comfortable doing it.
Yes.
And these brands are actually making it really easy, offering things for leaking and just tons of little things, like the soft tubing on those Spantex ones. You just pop it right in.
Yeah, it's like a push to connect. You don't
Push
even
to
really
connect.
have to think about it.
Yeah.
Just inserts in, you walk away, fill it up, you're good to go.
And you're just trusting that it will work. So I want to see more people do it. I want to
Yes.
see more people try their hand at it. I want to see more women do it as well. That's a big thing too. And we're starting to see that. We are starting to see that.
absolutely.
And as long as we're keeping this trend upwards on this trajectory, it's going to go where we want it to go.
We're not going to run out of steam anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we're just going to keep going, keep pushing, keep being proponents for those kind of innovations, and inspiration. We want as many people in this space as possible.
Yeah.
Like this is a big industry, obviously, but as you approach kind of the more extreme levels of modifying a computer or selecting certain components for your computer, you start to realize that not many people are doing some of the things that you're doing, and we want to see that flourish a bit. And so we want to see people, just like Ellie said, do it, jump into it, jump into the world, have fun with
Yes.
it. So.
Yeah, so for anyone out there who's watching who may be interested in getting started but doesn't know where to start, what advice would you give them?
I would say, just do it. Don't even think about it. Don't get caught in your head.
Look on YouTube.
Yeah, look
There's
at
tons of
find
resources.
inspiration.
Yeah.
There's so much inspiration out there, and just dive into it. Just dive into it. Don't be afraid. And there's no real wrong way to do it. Take your time and have fun with it. If anything,
Small
have fun
steps,
with it.
small steps. Also take very small steps. You don't have to do it all at one time. Yeah.
If you want to, just do it. I don't know.
Yeah, or you can. If you want to, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So there you go. Give it a good try, my friends. Let me just see if we have. Let's check and see if we have any questions from chat.
Let's see.
Let's check and see if we have any questions. Oh, I see some RGB all day. People love RGB.
Yes,
That's never going to die out.
that won't die.
No.
But people are wanting that to die out a little bit.
A little
yeah.
bit. Just in moderation.
Yes.
I see from Agent Dave 7 says, which hardware improvements are you excited for, whether it be things like BTF, Project Zero, or something else?
If anything, I kind of enjoy the efficiency aspect. Everything is becoming a little bit more efficient.
Yes.
The fact that we're able to see the fact that you can run top-end performance on hardware that's only using less than 100 watts, like that's
Efficiency.
Yeah, efficiency. I actually really enjoy the efficiency aspect, and you can have a little bit more fun with that and not need as crazy water cooling as possible. You can still have a conservative setup for your build and not have to feel like you have to go crazy, spend thousands of dollars to keep
Yeah.
your hardware cool, when in reality you can spend
To
less
pay the
than-
bills.
Yeah,
The electric
exactly.
bills.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anything, I'm actually really enjoying efficiency,
Yeah.
reusables, kind of stuff like that. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's nice to see that come out to the community here. Let's go ahead and talk about your build
yes,
with Cooler Master. We've been talking
Yes.
about PC modding, and of course, chat, if you still have questions about PC modding in general, throw those into chat. We'll be happy to ask John and Ellie for you. But we are here to look at this gorgeous build.
Yes.
So just behind John and Ellie here, you will see the Dynex. Now, Dynex is Cooler Master's high-end racing simulator, whether it be for personal or professional needs. They can also transform into a flight simulator, so we might be looking at the flight simulator
Yes,
setup
we're
for
looking at the
it
flight sim setup.
right now. But the flight sim supports everything from gliders to commercial jets. This is really a simulator that covers a wide spectrum. So for you, John and Ellie, this build is a massive ask considering the versatility
Yes, absolutely. And
of
honestly,
this sim.
So what we're looking right here is we're
Yes.
dubbing this the LH1, which is a play off of one of the most popular engines in the world, the Chevrolet LS1.
Yes.
And so we're dubbing it the LH1. But basically we're looking at the chassis here. So obviously we got the blue Dynex, but I'm kind of glad that we have a two-tone going on right now. And we have the yoke right here, and that's not part of it. But what we're looking right here is our new open air chassis that we're working with on Cooler Master. And it's called the LH1, and it's basically just an open air chassis that's made to emulate a car engine. You know, like we had originally set it up on our car sim at home. Cooler Master was kind enough to send over a Dynex so we could help develop this project with them. And so we wanted an open air build that kind of emulates kind of like a V6 engine.
Yeah.
Mounts to the front of the sim racer.
Right, just like an engine. So you're driving right behind the engine itself. And obviously, it's not going to be for everyone. People are going to enjoy just a closed air case sitting on a shelf behind. But we're Liquidhaus. We want to celebrate the creativity and just going over the top, you know. And so we wanted to create something that was just fun and exciting and different. And luckily, you know, we worked with Cooler Master on this, and they were happy enough to work with us. And so it's just really exciting. And to call back in terms of like doing different versions on chassis and making this work. This is our V1, and luckily it worked perfectly right off the bat.
I mean, that's experience speaking at that point.
Why do you say it's luck?
It was luck. It was luck.
Why?
Because we do a lot of prototyping, and we don't always get things right the first time.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't get things right the second time. We were kind of talking about that earlier. For this came together in like 4 weeks.
Wow.
So
It really
really
did.
was, I mean, yes, experience does play into it, but for it to actually, the timing, for it to be produced, and for us to be able to actually do the work, I suppose, in that time frame, I think a lot of it does come down to luck.
I mean, it came down to finishing up the build, doing content the night before we flew out, and it was so last minute that we had to actually pack this in our luggage flying over to Taiwan. We didn't have any time whatsoever to ship it, so it was very last minute, came down to the last wire. But you know, we mainly wanted to showcase this build as a celebration for the kind of scope that you can have even with the Cooler Master World Series case mark competition, you know,
absolutely.
like there is no limit to what you can do with the PC, you know, and there are many different chassis out, or many different sim frames out there that you can kind of emulate this with, but we chose Cooler Master because honestly, Cooler Master is one of our favorite brands to work with.
Well, they embody that, they kind of represent that, pushing things to the next limit, and kind of, you know, things are different. They think outside the box, and I think that we really resonate with that.
Yes, absolutely. When we were pitching them the idea, they immediately took us up on it. Like, that sounds amazing. Let's do it. You know, and we love that open-mindedness. You know, that willingness to say, like, you know what? Yeah.
Let's do it.
We don't know how it's going to turn out. We don't know how the execution is going to be, but yes, let's do it. You know, and so we're just so excited that we're able to pull this off, for one.
Yes.
And second, people want to just walk around the floor and actually give it a shot and try it out. So
Yeah.
I tried it out earlier, and I actually landed the plane.
You landed the
Nice
plane.
job.
we haven't had the chance to try the flight sim setup yet, but and obviously it works well with the motion controls. You know, there were a few instances of like, will the vibrations mess up the frame or anything like that?
Yeah, great
I mean,
point.
this is solid steel. It's just as solid steel as the
absolutely
frame
is.
itself, you know, so there's no worry about any sort of, you know, it's very rigid. There's no real moving parts. You know, we're not really in the day and age where we're worrying about spinning hard drives, you know, where
Right.
vibrations maybe actually be a thing. And so, you know, we got solid state hard drives in there. There's no real moving parts where vibrations may screw up anything. And so it's good to go, you know.
It's good to go, and you know, like you were saying, Cooler Master's a great partner for this because as we've been going through the different systems, we've been seeing that, you know, the Shark, the Sneaker X, all of these gorgeous, unique systems coming out of Cooler Master. So they want to see something unique like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk to us again? I know you said when you were pitching this, how did this collaboration between you and Cooler Master come to be?
Well, we were initially actually reached out from Moza. Moza Racing had reached out to us, and they wanted to do a collaboration. And it was initially just a very kind of basic, like, hey, you know, like we've got some kits that can bolt to your computer desk, and you know, you can throw the pedals on the ground, and you know, us at Liquidhaus, we immediately are thinking, okay, that sounds fine and all, but how do we one up that idea?
Right.
And so it's like,
How
okay,
do we make it ours?
yeah, how do we make it ours? You know, how do we make it tailored to Liquidhaus? You know, we are meant for these kinds of systems. You know, it's like, okay, so it was a great challenge for us to say, okay, let's figure out a way to do this. And so it's like, hey, Moza, how about you send us stuff so we can mount it to a frame, and we'll come up with a PC that will actually mount to that frame.
Right.
We hadn't talked to Cooler Master yet, but we were kind of shooting from the hip on that one, and said, you know what, we're going to make it happen. We're going to come up with the design, and
We're going to pitch it.
Yeah, we're going to pitch it. So we came up with like a prototype render. We pitched it to Cooler Master.
Yes.
They immediately took up on the offer, because I mean, honestly, like you had said, the Sneaker X, that stemmed from a modder build.
Yeah.
You know, and like the Shark case, that stemmed from a modder build itself. So some of these cases that Cooler Master has, they have stemmed from other innovations that other modders and builders
Both of those cases were on the same event of Cooler Master World
Wow.
Series.
Oh,
they were both winners. I could be mistaken.
The same event?
I think they might be.
They might be.
Yeah, I don't remember what years.
I do remember seeing both of them when I was doing judging that specific event, and I do remember being mesmerized by both the Shark and the Sneaker.
Yes.
But I want to say, like you see, Cooler Master World Series is where everything with modding related happens.
Right. Yeah, Cooler Master's a really great brand to pushing the envelope and really seeing dreams kind of come to life, right?
Yeah, and we're gonna get a little bit more into seeing your dreams come to life when it comes to the Dynex. But for right now, we're gonna toss to a quick break. But just before that, John and Ellie, where can people find your content if they want to hear more from you?
Well, we're just Liquidhaus on every social media platform. LIQUID, HAUS.
HAUS.
www.liquidhaus.com. You know, we're everywhere as much as possible. You know, we want to be as visible as possible,
Yes.
as accessible as possible to different people. And yeah, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a sub. You know, any of that love. But yeah, hope you guys can see our work and be inspired, and maybe you guys can start modding yourselves.
Yes, and congrats on such an awesome
you.
build being shown here at Computex. It really is beautiful. All right, folks, like I said, we're going to toss to a quick break, and then we'll be right back to really delve deep into everything in immersive systems here at Cooler Masters. Stay tuned.